Hello everyone, in this tutorial we are going to be taking a look at Wade's layering system. Now if you've ever used Photoshop before, you should already be familiar with the concept of layers, but if you haven't, don't worry because we're going to go over it. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my background image to the scene, and we'll just select it and name it background. Okay, now I'm going to drag my chili to the scene. I'm going to select it and name it chili. So now we have two scene objects, each has their own sprite. Now, why is the chili in front of the background? Now, the simple reason is we added the chili after the background, but we must also go into the sprites tab and check the layer. Now we see that the chili is on layer 1. If we select the background, we see that it is also on layer 1. So in Wade, a layer is actually a canvas object, so both of these sprites are on the same canvas. Now, what this means, if we want to change which object is in front, we need to change the order we add them to the scene. So, if we select the background here, and we drag it down, we will notice the chili disappears, because now the chili is being added before the background. I should note that during the program's execution, you can actually change the order that sprites are drawn on a layer. There are specific functions that will handle that for you. So if you need to change the order during runtime, you're perfectly fine doing that. So I'm just going to drag the chili back down to move it in front. More commonly, in a game example, the background is usually, you're going to want that behind most of your elements by the name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sprites tab in layer, and I'm going to move it to layer 10. So now, we just check the chili is still on layer 1, background is on layer 10. If we move the chili behind the background now, it is still visible. The reason for this is the chili is on a layer that is in front of the layer the background object is on. So layers with smaller numbers are always in front. So layer 10 is behind layer 1, and if you added an object on layer 20, it would be behind the background. So let's just drag the chili back to the front just for neatness, even though it's not necessary. Okay, now we're going to deselect all the scene objects, and we can do that either just by clicking in the darkness, or we can select our chili again and click on the selected chili object on the left. That also works. And finally, we can also just select the scene at the top there. So on the right, we now have our scene properties, and this contains a number of useful things. The first thing we need to look at is the default layer. Now, we noted before that both of these objects were initially added onto layer 1. So, if we want to change the default layer, so say we want all new items to be in front of the background but behind the chili, we could put it on layer 5, or any layer between 1 and 10 for that matter. So, I've changed the default layer to 5, and I'm now going to add a second chili. So, I'm just going to drag it, and let's just select that there, and we do see layer 5 is indeed true. So if we drag it behind the other chili, we do see it goes behind. Excellent. Now I'm just going to move that out to the side because I don't need it. So the next thing, if we deselect everything again, is we see what layers we are using, and correctly we have layer 1, layer 5, and layer 10. So let's just open up layer 10, which is the one our background layer is on. You can see we've got a number of options. We can choose either to render the layer using the 2D, which is very flexible, it should work everywhere, or WebGL, which is a little bit faster, but some obscure browsers may not support it. However, even if they don't, Wade is clever enough to default back to the 2D mode for you. And we also have these three options: scale, translate, and resolution. Now, the first of these elements, scale, simply changes the size of everything on the layer. So if we set that to a value of 0.5, we will see that the layer has got much bigger. It's actually doubled. So we're just going to put that back to 1. Likewise, if we set translate to 0.5, what this does is it changes how the layer is affected when the camera moves. So now this layer is only going to move half as much as it would for a given camera movement. So if you hold down the middle mouse and drag the mouse around, you can see the scene moving, and you should notice that the chilies are moving faster than the background layer. Now this is used a lot in old games, and it's an effect called parallax. So it's quite convincing that objects in the distance should move slower than objects in the foreground. And I mean, classic games like Mario actually had 2 or 3 layers of this, so it's a nice effect. So we'll just set that back to 1 for now. And resolution, this is more depending on the situation where you want to use it. If you are programming for a lower end device, such as a much older mobile phone that can't handle high resolution very well, you can set the resolution factor and that will greatly reduce the number of pixels you have to draw. So at 0.5 resolution, that will reduce the amount of pixels you need to draw by a factor of 4. It's quite a lot. It makes a big difference. But of course, as you can see, it makes the quality go down quite a bit, so you've got to pick and choose where to use it. It's not so good for a high detailed background image. It is, however, very good for, say, blurred particle effects. You can often reduce those massively by lowering the resolution. So those are the 3 things you can change in the Layers tab. I'll just reset that. You also have a final option here, Quad Tree. Now, we won't go into that too much because it's quite an advanced topic, but if you want to read more about it, you can Google spatial partitioning techniques. But basically, it's just an optimization method for when you've got lots of items together. It just makes things run a bit faster in most cases, but if you want to disable it, you can just click it there. The final option we have in here is to hide a layer altogether. So if I want to hide the background object, I can just click this little red circular button, and it goes away. If I click the eye, it comes back. So very intuitive, works, and that can be useful if you're designing levels. You just want to hide bits so you can more easily access parts. That's just very simple to do. And remember, you can change most of these properties while the program's running, and there are cases where you might want to do that. So hopefully that is useful for you.